How we doing, everybody? And welcome in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're back after a long weekend break there. It's Tuesday already. Just got back from the Central Wisconsin State Fair in Marshfield, Wisconsin over the weekend there. Long weekend. It was a long weekend. Got to it about Sunday night there. Got back and, well, took a nap. And, came down to it. Didn't get one in for you on Monday. So we got a lot to talk about today here. Lots of news. I mean, just today, we have the Packers. They're going to have their roster cut down. So one last little projection for the 53-man roster. Some of the guys that we think could make it on, probably will not, those kind of things. The Packers did swing a deal, so we're going to be talking about that. The Badgers did release their two-deep depth chart for Western Michigan. So I want to get into that today because a lot of interesting names on that list. A lot of guys who we kind of suspected already were going to be on that list. And then also an injury in the Badgers defense already. And it's, I think, a big one. I really do think a big one. We'll see how it all plays out there. And then the Brewers, we'll talk about this last weekend series there and looking ahead, what they have coming up this week here with an off day yesterday and starting up a series here tonight here. So with that, let's get to the Brewers. Or not to the Brewers. Let's get to the Badgers. Let's go Badgers right away. I want to talk about this Badgers two deep depth chart that they came out with because, I mean, there's some interesting names on there and some guys that I'm excited about. So right away, I'm looking at the quarterback room. We kind of had that one already figured out. Tyler Van Dyke will be the starter for this upcoming season until further notice, right? Until something changes. Maybe he doesn't produce like the Badgers are hoping. Whatever. As of now, Tyler Van Dyke will be the starter. And I saw a couple analysts who were actually talking about Tyler Van Dyke being a dark horse in draft projections and everything like that. I was surprised. I'm going to be honest with you. I was surprised. Because you look at the flip side of that and you see a lot of other analysts who are like, the Badgers got a solid quarterback, but he's not going to be anything crazy. And I'm not saying that these analysts were saying projected first round. It was second round later than that, too, that they were talking about Tyler Van Dyke. And, I mean, realistically, that could happen there. If he lights the world on fire, if this is a completely flipped the script, maybe like his first season at Miami, because I was just going to check out his stats there. His first season at Miami, he was pretty impressive coming out of the gates. Let's see here. Pull up his stats from his days at Miami. In that first season in 2021, he did throw for almost 3,000 yards there, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. A very good year. 62% completion rating there. I mean, not bad at all. And then you look at his the next season there, that would have been his third season at Miami there, second as a starter. That's where it kind of fell off a little bit there. He only had 1,844 yards through the air, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and then he also had that 63% completion rating in that season. And then last season, 2023, got back up in the yards, 2,703 yards there. And then looking at his completion rating, 65%, 19 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. If he duplicates what he did in that 2021 season with the Badgers, because they do have the playmakers. I mean, Bryson Green, Will Pauling, Vinny Anthony. There's some playmakers. There's some burners. There's some guys who could blow the top off defense. Will Pauling's just your all-around solid slot guy. So with those weapons, and you have some solid weapons in the backfield, if the line holds up, Van Dyke could have a big season. He could have a very big season, which could make some of those analysts look like geniuses who said that he could be a dark horse candidate to be a second round or just after the second round draft pick. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on there. So Tyler Van Dyke, Braden Locke, they have that quarterback room locked down there in the depth chart. As of right now, we'll see, injuries happen. Then we'll see guys float around. But as of right now, those are two guys we're talking about. Coming back in the backfield for the Badgers, we see Chesma Lucy. That is, great to see Chesma Lucy in the backfield. I mean, last season, that injury changed the year for Wisconsin, just because it put a lot more on Braylon Allen for this offense. And a lot of it already was on Braylon Allen, but you lose a back like that, a dynamic back. Chesma Lucy is a dynamic back. A lot of people forget about that, but he is a dynamic back, and to lose a guy like that, his caliber, that sucks. So hopefully, he's in that number one. He's the starter now. He's the number one back in the backfield to start the year. I'm hoping to see a big return season for him there. One last go around, right? This is it. This is the last year, the last season for him. And then hopefully we see him be able to transition to the NFL. That's what he wants to prove this season. Get injured last year. He talked about possibly being done. He said, no way, not going out like that. Let's end it on a good note. I'm hoping it ends on a great note for Chesma Lucy there. Looking at him in his first 3 seasons with the Badgers, ran for almost 1,600 yards and 11 touchdowns, 815 yards and 5 scores in 2021, his first season when he came from Clemson there. And then also in the backfield, backup running back, and this is I think a huge ad for the Badgers, Tyree Walker in the backfield there, coming in from Oklahoma. Last season at Oklahoma, 513 yards, 7 touchdowns. This guy's a burner. Him and Malusi are almost identical in the way that they like to work things. He's got the ability to break it to the outside and take off and has some burner speed. So those two in the backfield, that's going to be a dynamic. And then also, you're going to see guys in the mix there, including Jackson Anchor, the big running back there, almost like he's trying to think of a comparison to him. He's not quite Braylon Allen like that. Braylon Allen's a freak. I've seen some highlights. I watched the other day like a 5-minute highlight clip of just Braylon Allen in preseason games with the Jets. Oh man, the Jets may have gotten a steal in Braylon Allen, because holy crap, if he stays healthy, watching him run the football, I feel bad for the secondary. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm watching these guys, these safeties, and these are NFL guys, in the safety room now, not college guys. These are NFL guys in there, and Braylon Allen's meeting them like a bus on the freeway, and it's like, watch out. It is awesome to see Braylon Allen getting it done at the next level. That's great. That's great stuff. But Jackson Anchor, big back. He's a big back. I expect to see a lot of Jackson Anchor on the short yardage stuff. Maybe a little bit here and there, pass protection kind of guy. But my big thing with Jackson Anchor is I see him as the big back. If you're in a goal line set or whatever, goal line, short yardage at midfield, whatever it is, I see Jackson Anchor in that backfield just because of his ability to barrel his way straight ahead and get the first down. That's why I see Jackson Anchor getting in there. Cade Yakamele, if you guys remember him from last season there, Cade Yakamele will also be in that backfield for the Badgers. Just pulling up his stats from last season there. Not a whole lot to talk about for Cade there. He had 169 yards on 36 carries. Not a huge sample size for him at all. The majority of it went to Braylon Allen. After that, it was Jackson Anchor and then Chesma Lucy before he got injured. You're talking about Chesma Lucy before he got injured. 307 yards on 51 carries. His average was 6 yards per carry. That's impressive. That's impressive. So you're talking about what the Badgers lost just in him last year. Getting that back now, that's going to help kind of fill the gap from what you lost with Braylon Allen last year, because Braylon Allen, 181 yards and 181 carries for 984 yards last season, just under 1,000 yards last. That sucks, dude. That's stinking close. We couldn't have just gave him the ball and just let him keep barreling ahead. We were getting blown out in a lot of games. But, to help bridge that gap, try to replace that production from last season, having a guy like Chesma Lucy coming back, and then also adding in Tyree Walker, 2 experienced guys. You're talking about 2 seniors right there, and Tyree Walker and Chesma Lucy, somebody in that huddle to calm things down with some of the younger guys, get it all settled. You like that. Also, this is an experienced offense. If you really look at it, Tyler Van Dyke, senior, leading the huddle. Chesma Lucy, Tyree Walker, both seniors in the backfield there. You look at the wide receiver room, which is what I'm going to get to next year. You have the senior and Bryson Green, who's going to be the number 1 out there on the outside. Will Pauling in that slot as a senior. And then Vinny Anthony or CJ Williams will be in there, and they're going to be juniors there on that on the opposite outside there. So you're talking about a lot of experience. And then backing them guys up there, we're going to see Quincy Burrows. He's going to be on the other outside there. Kikawana is going to be in there as a sophomore. He's going to be on the inside in the slot, backing up Will Pauling. And then Chris Brooks Jr. will be in there as behind Bryson Green on the outside there. He is also a sophomore. So a lot of experience, just in the skill position room for this Wisconsin team. And Green's a guy who I don't think we've seen Bryson Green break out to his full potential yet. I mean, Bryson Green, he's been injury plagued, came over from Oklahoma State. We saw him actually when they played the bowl game against Oklahoma State. We saw Bryson Green. At Oklahoma State, he had 32 passes for 480 yards and 2 scores in 2023. And looking at his career, 80 catches, 1,203 yards, and 9 touchdowns for Bryson Green. So this is a guy, as I talked about a couple weeks ago, can blow a top off a defense. He's the vertical threat for you. Getting him back on the outside, staying healthy, that's going to be huge for the Badgers. Take a lot of pressure off of Will Pauling because Will Pauling had a fantastic year last year. Looking at Pauling, he had 74 receptions for 837 yards and 6 touchdowns. I only see more out of Will Pauling. I do expect more, and I want to see more out of Will Pauling in this next season here. I think he's capable of it, and having a guy like Bryson Green in there, that's going to take a boatload of that pressure off of Will Pauling there. And then also, I mean, CJ Williams, hopefully he's going to develop into the guy the Badgers thought they were getting with him there. And then 2 other good pass catchers there. Vinny Anthony's got a boatload of speed. I'm telling you right now, watch out for him. You want to talk about a vertical threat in Bryson Green there. He's got more of the leaping ability. He's got more of the size, but Vinny Anthony's got the ability to be a torture too. So watch out for Vinny Anthony there. But those two will have that ability to help Will Pauling in that receiver room, get him open, keep it balanced. I think that's going to be huge. So the wide receiver room, I really do. I like what I see there and what the potential could be in that room there. Looking at the tight end room, for the tight ends, Hayden Rucci, no longer in the building anymore. Also, I mean, I was looking at the other tight ends here. That's it. So we just lose Hayden Rucci there, but we get a little bit of experience back. Tucker Ashcraft is in there, and then Nowakowski is also in there. It looks like Nowakowski will be the starting tight end there for the Badgers, the senior coming back. He's going to be more in on that blocking role. So Nowakowski's role is going to be in, he's going to be in there a little bit of play action. You can't just have, that was pretty easy to key in on. But Tucker Ashcraft's going to be more when it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, whatever it is, Tucker Ashcraft's in the game. When it's 1st and 10 or it's 2nd and 6, we might see Nowakowski in there, right? So it's going to be one of those things where those two are going to interchange, whereas, it's going to be Ashcraft's more of my pass catcher. Nowakowski's the big body who's a very good blocker, but still has that ability to catch football there in a short yardage spot. So watch those two guys there. I don't expect a huge boost from Nowakowski there. He's a solid pass catcher. I was just looking at his stats here from last season. He had 7 catches for 57 yards and 1 touchdown. Not a bad year there. Tucker Ashcraft, 8 catches for 86 yards and 1 touchdown. So, Ashcraft, very good freshman season. He's, not a lot of depth at that tight end position. He played in all games last season there. I expect him to play in every game this season here. As long as he stays healthy, everything like that, I think he's going to have a big year, and I think it's going to be a big step forward for him coming up in this next season here. He's got the ability, the pass catching ability, the route running ability. He can block. I'm not saying that Nowakowski is just the only tight end that we have that can block. Ashcraft can block it a little bit too there, but he's more of that pass threat. So if that development comes with him being able to be that dominant run blocker while also being able to catch football, watch out, because then the Badgers are coming full fold then. And, I mean, it's going to be exciting there. Looking at the offensive line for the Badgers, Jack Nelson will be the starting left tackle, the senior coming back. Left guard will be Joe Brunner. Sophomore, Jake Renfro in there at center as a sophomore. Watch for Jake Renfro. I'm telling you this now. In the offensive lineman award category at the end of the year, watch for Jake Renfro's name and Jack Nelson, because I believe those two guys, when it's all said and done, will be two of the better offensive linemen in the Big Ten. So just keep an eye on those two right there. Not saying that the rest of these guys in the Badgers line don't. I mean, they do their business. They take care of their stuff. But just watch those two guys, because I have a good feeling about those two guys going into this one. Joe Huber will be the right guard there, the senior coming back. And then right tackle will be Riley Molman, the junior, in there at right tackle. They returned 3 starters up front. Renfro would have actually started last season there, but he was injured, so that did not help out. And then, that's about all I got on the offensive line there. Jack Nelson's got the most experience out of all of them, but that's about all I got there. This is where we get to the injury news for the Badgers, the sucky injury news there for Wisconsin, and that is on the defensive line. So we see Ben Barton, he's going to be in there on the defensive line, the senior, and then Kurt Neal will also be on there on the defensive line, the sophomore in there. James Thompson Jr. he was reported out as injured, and he's likely to miss the entire season for the Badgers. That's what Luke Fickell said. Underwent surgery last week there. So that pushed Kurt Neal up into a bigger role. Thompson was going to be a big run stopper up there in the middle. He's a good pass rusher too. I really did. Watching some of the clips of Thompson there, I thought he was a good pass rusher too, but very good in the run. So now Neal's got to step up into that same role. So Neal he played in all 13 games last season there as a redshirt freshman. And then, against LSU, did play well. So Neal has that potential to step up. Got to be able to see it now, because without Thompson, they're going to need him there on that defensive front. Looking at the inside linebacker room, we're going to see Yaheem Thomas, the senior, in there, and then also Jake Chaney. Now, Jake Chaney had a huge season last year, second on the team with 80 tackles and also 3.5 sacks. Started 9 games and appeared in all 13 games. So Jake Chaney getting into that starting role now, but after a massive season like that, I can't wait to see what he comes back for an encore in this season. And then also looking at Thomas there, he came over in the transfer portal from Arkansas, 90 tackles, 6.5 tackles for a loss, and 3.5 sacks. So, man, oh man, he actually started his career at Cincinnati under Luke Fickell. So there you go. There's your tie. There's your tie between the two. And defensive coordinator Mike Tressel. So he had them both already there. That really kind of made that decision easier to come to Madison. He's already familiar with these two guys. This guy recruited me. This guy was my defensive coordinator who also helped recruit me in here. They started me out. I went to Arkansas, had a phenomenal year. I jumped in the transfer portal. Now Madison's calling. That's great news. That was a great deal for him, right? That was a great deal for him. Some familiarity to get in there. So he was actually on that 2021 Cincinnati team that went to the college football playoffs. So a little bit of experience there, getting to the big game too. Other guys in there, Allegro, he's going to be in there also, the sophomore. Played last season there, all 13 games as a true freshman. Curtis came over from USC there. It's hard to gauge a defensive player coming over from USC because that defense did struggle last season. But Curtis was a very dynamic linebacker. Good in pass coverage, good in the pass rush, good bully ball. He likes to play there up the middle. So Curtis, solid add for the Badgers, a sophomore there. Good to see him in there in that second team. And then looking at the outside linebackers there, we're going to see Daryl Peterson, who I expect. I really do expect big things out of Daryl Peterson in this season. He's a 3-year starter, 47 tackles, 10 tackles for a loss, and 4.5 sacks as a sophomore there. And then Poos coming in there. He's going to be on the opposite side of him there, or Leon Lowry, who came in that transfer portal. The guy who, was in the transfer portal, was going to come to Madison, that wasn't going to come to Madison, then ended up in Madison. That whole debacle. This is that guy. Started all 12 regular season games at Syracuse in 2023. 46 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks as a junior. He's going to be able to set the edge for the Badgers there. He's going to give them more of that edge presence. So, got to love that. And then Poos, I mean, he got into the backfield a lot at William and Mary. Ranked second in school history in tackles for a loss, 40.5, and then fifth in sacks at 24.5, all in just 3 seasons. So you're averaging about 8 sacks a year. Wow. I mean, that's it. William and Mary, we're not talking like he came over from Georgia with these numbers, but impressive. That's impressive numbers that he put up there. And watching him, seeing the clips from him, he can set the edge and he can get into the backfield. This guy is phenomenal. He's a very good mover, very athletic, can get by the offensive lineman very easily. He's got a ton of moves up front there. So I'm excited to see John Poos in there. I mean, you got experience on the defensive line there, or outside linebacker at least. There in Daryl Peterson, Poos, and Lowry, all seniors in there. And then Aaron Witt and Sebastian Cheeks, sophomore and a junior, in there also in the second team. Cornerback room, there's a lot of names to watch out for in here. There's one guy who I feel like we're not talking about, who I feel like could have a big year. Okay? So right away, we got to look at the returner, Ricardo Holman. Ricardo had a fantastic season last season there. It was the most picks. He had 7 interceptions last season, which led the nation. Most picked by a Badger since Shane Carter in 2007. Other than that, we see Fourqueen in there. Nazir Fourqueen, transferred from Grand Valley State. Pretty good season for him there. 39 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 pass breakups there. And then the nickel, they expect to have Max Laffey out there, the senior. I didn't expect him to get the starting job, to be honest with you, but looks like he's going to get that starting job. The guy that I'm looking at that I feel like may have a big year that nobody's talking about is DJ Delancey. Now, DJ Delancey, just pulling up his stats here because I didn't want to spew out some bad stats on you there. Came over from Toledo. In those seasons at Toledo, he had 61 tackles, 42 of them were solo tackles, 14 pass deflections there. He had 2 interceptions and 1 forced fumble there. But his last season, he had 10 solo, 20 tackles in total there, and 1 interception. This is a guy, 5'11", 193, but he plays like he's bigger than that. And for me, this is a guy who I feel like may be the Ricardo Holman from last season there. Nobody's talking about him. He's going to be an underlying factor in this Badgers defense. We won't see a lot out of him right away, and then all of a sudden he's going to burst onto the scene. This is my guy, RJ Delancey. I love what he can do. And he's not targeted a lot, right? He has a lot of speed. He's very good in coverage, and he's very good in zone coverage, which is something that, you have your mix, right? You have some corners out there who are very good in man coverage and they're terrible in zone coverage. You have some corners who are better in zone and they're terrible in man. Well, Delancey, he has the ability to do man coverage, but he can blanket. He can blanket like the best of them when it comes to zone coverage. So I'm going to put a bet down that says that RJ Delancey will be our new Ricardo Holman flash. We already know Ricardo Holman's Ricardo Holman. Like, this is going to be one of the better cornerbacks in the conference in this upcoming season, Ricardo Holman. I truthfully believe that. But I am watching RJ Delancey and telling you this is going to be the new Ricardo Holman. Break onto the scene. Didn't expect it kind of guy. That's my guy there. And then we get to the safety, Hunter Waller. He doesn't need much more of an introduction than, he was the heart and soul of that defense last year. He's a senior coming back, second team All Big Ten last season there, 120 tackles, 2 interceptions there. Actually had the 120 stops were the most by a Badger since Reggie Holt in 1991. He also was the only defensive back in the country with at least 110 tackles and 2 picks. Wowza. Hunter Waller, he was ticked off last season. He played ticked off. That guy don't like to lose. I don't like to lose, but that guy don't like to lose the best of them. I expect a massive year out of Hunter Wooler on the back end of this defense. And then also they have another senior back there, Preston Zachman. Terrific offseason for the Badgers, getting Zachman there. Got the first team role. Started 5 games in 2023, 49 tackles, 2 interceptions. Good year for him there. And then, I mean, you're going to have Kamo Latu back there too, and then Austin Brown will also be in that safety room. Vakos is going to be the field goal kicker. Bertrams is going to be the punter there. Tyrell Henry will be the punt returner. And Vinny Anthony, I told you guys, watch this guy, Vinny Anthony. I'm going to tell you this now. Vinny Anthony is going to house at least 2 kickoffs this season. 2. I'm putting it down as at least 2 kickoffs. We will see Vinny Anthony take it to the house. Book it, send it to the bank. That's just what I'm going to tell you now. Vinny Anthony will do that for you. And then Gavin Lam will be in charge of kickoffs for the Badgers. So there is your week 1 versus Western Michigan updated depth chart. There you go. There's your guys. You have your thoughts on them. Everybody's got their thoughts on it, but there is your depth chart coming out for week 1. Subject to change after week 1, right? You always see them change. Things get flipped around. Guys get injured first game out, and then we're seeing, new guys in there in the offensive line or new guys in there in the cornerback room. It's going to be, there's a revolving door, right? There's a revolving door in football, and we will see that in this upcoming season here. So there's your Badgers for the day. We're going to get more into the Badgers because they have Western Michigan coming up this week, Friday. Oh my, I forgot it's already Tuesday, right? This is what I get. I take a long weekend. This is what happens. We're almost to Friday already here. It's exciting. We're almost back to seeing the Badgers under the lights, right? Under the lights at Camp Randall. I cannot wait. It's on a Friday, so it's a little weird, 8 o'clock, but who cares? I'm going to watch it. I don't care. I'm going to watch the whole thing. That's what we got to do because Badgers, they're back. College football is back. We watched that game in Ireland over the weekend. Georgia Tech pulled off a huge upset. Florida State, I don't know if they're still caught up in the emotion from last season, from crying about not getting into the college football playoff, but they laid an egg, and now they're going to be fighting for it in that ACC with a lot of tough teams because Georgia Tech is a good team. I mean, their offense is very good. I didn't think their defense was that good, but their offense is very good. Florida State's got a lot of holes that they got to figure out before they face the likes of Clemson, before they see a team like Florida even. They got a lot of holes they got to figure out before they get into those games. So college football is technically already back, but we got more college football coming up this weekend here. A big weekend in college football. I can't wait to get to it here later on this week. But with that, before we move on here, I want to mention the sponsors of the show here quick. First, we got Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville, Wisconsin. Marshfield Motor Speedway is located just 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Get down there this summer. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great atmosphere. Nothing better than a great summer day or night down at the track there. Marshfield Motor Speedways. Your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy Sue or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Sports Scene Sports Cards and Memorabilia, located in the Marshfield Mall in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Get down there and see Al. He has everything you need from sporting cards and memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cards. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield, and also Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. If you've been injured recently, whether it was at work, whether it was you were playing with the kids in the yard, you were mowing the lawn, you were playing with the dogs, whatever you're doing. You felt something tear, pop, didn't feel right. You went to the doctor. They said you better go see a physical therapy. You better go see a physical therapist. I can't tell you anybody better to go and see than Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. He'll get you right. He'll get you back to work, back mowing the lawn, playing with the kids, playing with the dogs, doing whatever you were doing, feeling better than ever. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin there. So with that, let's get to the Packers. We're running a little bit long on time for today here. So the projected 53-man roster, I mean, we're going to have the roster coming out today. So let's not worry about it. But we did see the Packers make a move. I'll get to the 53-man roster when they release the full thing. You guys got 1,000,001 projections out there. Who needs another one, right? I'm just going to probably tell you the same layer of guys that you've already heard. But I want to get to the deal that the Packers did make. They made a trade with the Tennessee Titans, and they acquired Malik Willis. Now, let's look at Malik Willis. Let's see what we can see with this Malik Willis guy. So, Malik Willis, let's look up. Well, you don't get a good sample size out of college or out of the NFL, but 2023 didn't play. He played in 3 games, 4 for 5 passing, 74 yards, garbage time. 2022 played in 8 games, 31 for 61, 276 yards, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. Not a great sample size. Let's go with that. Not a great sample size. Let's look at college. Let's get back to college with him there. Spent his first couple years, started at Auburn there. Didn't get much playing time at Auburn. So took his talents to Liberty, right? That's my immediate thought is I can't get her done at Auburn, so I'm going to jump and go to Liberty. That's exactly where I want to be. But did showcase his skills at Liberty there because he earned his way into the NFL, right? In 2020, he had 2,260 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And then in 2021, he had 2,626 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions there. So he ended his college career with just over 5,000 yards through the air, 48 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions. Malik Willis, you look at this guy, all in all, he's got an arm, right? He's got the ability to get outside and run. When they drafted him, they knew this guy is a slinger. He can sling the ball around. We know that about this guy, right? The Packers were looking for, this is the way that I put it. This is the only way I can think about it, right? You had Jordan Love. I don't need to say much more. That's your starting quarterback. I can't say much more about Jordan Love. But then you had Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt. Now, Sean Clifford has not done enough in preseason or in any other garbage time he's been in to convince me, to convince the Packers, to convince a lot of people that Sean Clifford is a reliable, solid, can win you some games backup quarterback, right? Michael Pratt is still developing. He's a developmental project, right? The Packers didn't get Michael Pratt and say, this guy could be a starter right now, right? They didn't get him and think that. They got Michael Pratt so they could work with him, see where he's at in a couple years. That's why they drafted Michael Pratt. So you look at the body of work then. You look at your Jordan Love situation, you look at the 2 backups. And my immediate thought was, okay, so let's say Jordan Love goes down. He's down for, say, a month, right? The Packers season isn't over if realistically, the Packers season should not be over if Jordan Love's down for a month, okay? So you're looking at, I need a quarterback who can step in here with the playmakers, Jacobs, Watson, everybody else, as long as everybody else stays healthy. He can step in here, and in this month span, or in this couple week span, whatever it ends up being, this guy can deliver me 2 wins or 1 win, at least a win, right? Because you look at the grade, okay, let's just say Jordan Love's out for 3 games, right? If you go 0-3 in those 3 games, that could mean a heck of a lot, right? 1-2 isn't as bad, right? 2 out of 3, 2-1 in a 3-game stretch would be great. That'd be great as a backup quarterback. But realistic side, there's going to be some faults. There's going to be some problems, right? Because you're not playing your star quarterback, so you're going to take a step back a little bit, right? So you're looking for a guy that you believe that can step in there and he can win you at least one of those games. Because winning 1 out of those 3 games, going 1-2, that's at least respectable. That keeps you in the race, right? But if you lose 3 in a row, now Love comes back, and now he's trying to adjust in. It shouldn't take long for him to adjust back in. But let's just say it's the week of that week where they got the Lions, or no, it's the 49ers and then the Dolphins, right? Love comes back. They're facing the 49ers. Welcome back, Jordan. Like, that's a tough spot to be in because you've already lost 3 in a row. Now you're facing the 49ers. That's tough, right? So you don't want to be in that situation. You want a guy who in those weeks before that can possibly deliver you a win by playing solid at the quarterback position. Not over the top, just solid. And that's what they believe they're getting with Malik Willis, because looking at his preseason stats from this year, I mean, they're better than Michael Pratt's and Sean Clifford's. 2 for 2 on passes over 20 yards, 20 for 27 passing the football, rushed for 101 yards, and 4 runs over 10 yards. You got speed. You got a guy who you can bring in, and he's going to have the ability to chuck the ball around, but also make things happen with his legs. That might win you some games just like that. So bringing in Malik Willis, I think that's a good deal by this Green Bay team. I actually love the move. I love the move by Green Bay. Is it this fancy move, like buying fine china? No, we're not. We didn't get the fancy plates, right? We didn't get the fancy plates. We went to the section next to the fancy plates, and we got the durable plates. We got those plastic ones that even if you put them in the oven for a while, they probably will not melt all the way. We got those durable plates, right? That's what we got. We got the durable plates that are sturdy enough to hold up to a mountain of spaghetti, like the ones I got upstairs. Because I always put that, when you get spaghetti, when it's finally spaghetti night, you always have that mountain. Probably more than you can eat, but you always mountain it up there. I don't know if anybody out there has ever watched that movie, The Game Plan, with The Rock, and I can't remember the little girl that's in there. But he comes out with that plate of spaghetti for her, and it's like a mountain. It's like over top of her head. That's what I'm talking about, a mountain of spaghetti. You got to have a plate that's durable enough for that. Not fine china. I'm not eating my sloppy spaghetti on fine china here. I'm eating it on a durable plastic plate that I found in Walmart for $5.99 for a 4-pack. Right, that's what I'm dealing with here, right? So that's what we got in Malik Willis. Before, we were dealing with paper plates, right? Not the good paper plates either. I'm talking those little crappy paper plates that if you put something that's liquid on it, it's going to drain a hole right through it. Those were the paper plates we were dealing with before. We moved up. We got Malik Willis. I love the deal for the Green Bay Packers. So like I said, I mean, we're going to get into the Packers 53-man roster here tomorrow on the show. They're going to release it later today, so I'm not going to have a clue yet. They're finalizing moves right now as we speak, right? They're figuring out what they're going to do. They didn't just start. You're not going to start at I think the deadline's 3:00. They're not going to start at 2 and be like, crap, forgot about this. You're gone, right? They're not going to do that. Are they going to stick with Anders Carlson? I believe so for now, right? I think Anders Carlson will be the kicker for now, but I do not believe the Packers are done shopping. I believe they're still shopping for a kicker right now. I can't. If it really comes down to at the end of the season, the Packers were a kicker away from going to the Super Bowl, that is going to speak really poorly on Brian Gutekunst for not making a move earlier. And I think if it does get to that point, I feel like he will make a move. I don't think he cares what for. So I'm hoping, I really am, that Anders Carlson can just figure it out and he shuts everybody up about it. I'm just thinking, I've seen this guy in the preseason now. I saw him last season there. I don't know if it cost us some games, but it felt like it did at times. It felt like it did cost some games there, at least some momentum in games. I mean, 3's worth more than nothing, right? And in that 49ers game, that 3 might have been worth a heck of a lot. But instead, now we're talking about losing that game. Now we're talking about Anders Carlson might not be good enough to be the starting kicker for Green Bay. So definitely keep an eye on that one there in that kicking room. See what Green Bay does. Greg Joseph hasn't been cut yet, so there's still a competition going on between those two guys there. But with that, I want to get to the Brewers real quick here. Not a whole lot. We saw the Brewers take the series over the Oakland A's over the weekend there. They did, however, drop that last game. 4-3, the final was in that Sunday matchup. But 2 good offensive performances. The 2 games before that, a bounce back from that series loss to the St. Louis Cardinals, which sucked. That sucked, seeing them lose that series there. Now they look to, continue the hot trend. Continue the hot trend here. taking on the Giants coming up tonight here. San Francisco will be coming to American Family Field. We're going to see Logan Webb, he's having a solid year, 11-8, 3.13 ERA there. He'll be taking on Tobias Myers, who continues to pitch well for the Brewers, 6-5 with that 2.87 ERA there. I don't know if we're going to see, I was just checking that out to see if we're going to see Blake Snell in this series. We will not see Blake Snell, but the Brewers will see Logan Webb in game one here before we travel on the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds for a 4-game series, because we will see a doubleheader on Friday. So looking for a Brewers win tonight, 7-10 start for that one. I want to be talking about a Brewers win when it comes tomorrow here. Also, classic bullpen pitcher who has been sucking move. Nick Mears goes to the 15-day IL. He's injured. Yeah, it's a joke. It's always a joke I make, because it seems like, once a guy gets lit up, then it's like, oh, they went to the injured list, right? And it's like, oh, can't believe it. He's on the injured list now. He just got lit up for, lost the game for us. Now he's on the injured list. Wonder how that happened. I'm just, it's one of those things. It's always like, it's so interesting to me. And, the guy's injured. I'm not going to say anything against it there. The guy's injured, but that's what we saw. Aaron Ashby was recalled from AAA Nashville. I believe we saw Aaron Ashby in that game against Oakland. And he came out. He's been pitching a lot in the bullpen, 2 innings, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts there for the Brewers when he came back up there on Sunday. But Ashby, I saw the talks coming out of AAA. He got that fastball back up to 98 in the bullpen there. So maybe that limited amount of time, not starting a game, not trying to go through 5 or 6 innings, being able to just put it all out there in 1 inning, that may benefit him. So 98 miles per hour on the fastball again. The velocity's back, which is huge for Ashby. Hopefully it continues, and it's a great trend, and we see it there, and maybe he becomes a bullpen arm for the Brewers down the road there, and he pays himself off, right? He's got a kind of bigger contract, right? So hopefully he pays himself off in that sense. So Nick Myers, he goes to the injured list. No clue on his injury or anything like that, how long it's going to be before he returns there. Paredes has been doing well down in the minors right now. No news if he will be called up here anytime soon, probably when a roster spot becomes available. Rob Zastryski, haven't heard anything new in that front in a while. And that's about it for the injury front for the Brewers. So that's good news there. But big series coming up. San Francisco Giants starting tonight here. The standings right now for the NL Central, the Brewers currently lead it by 10 games there over the Chicago Cubs. St. Louis is right behind them there. They're also 10 games back. Cincinnati Reds 12.5, and the Pirates at 13.5. So everybody, all of the bottom 4 are right there neck and neck, and the Brewers are trying to pull away. The Cubs have been, I don't want to, I hate when I have to give the Cubs props for just about anything in life. But the Cubs bullpen has been pitching better. I saw their ERA was getting down there, so the Cubs bullpen has been figuring it out as of late here. They've been finding ways to win some ball games, so Craig Counsell, he's got that way with bullpens. I don't know what it is. I didn't think he'd figure out the Cubs bullpen because they stink. They just all around stink. If he could figure out the lineup, which he never has had luck completely figuring out a lineup, so I don't have faith in that. But he's had luck with bullpen, so bullpen might get good. Lineup still got to figure it out. Brewers looking to keep building on that lead here coming up tonight against the Giants. So with that, lots of big things coming up today. Brewers 7-10 start versus the Giants, and then also Packers roster reduction, getting that thing down to 53 guys there before we get closer. We're closer. It just feels like it's right there. It is like right there. We will be talking about Packers Eagles first game there in Brazil. I cannot wait. I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic waiting for that September 6th. Oh, I can't get here soon enough, but I got college football to hold me over, right? Friday, college football. Can't wait. Can't wait for it all. So with that, like I always say, if you have a chance, go down, like, subscribe, leave a review. Definitely send us fan mail. Go in the bio. Click send us a text message down there. You can send it straight directly to us then. Anything that you thought that we were talking about, that you had some ideas on, opinions, everything like that, or anything you want to tell us, anything you'd love to hear us talk about, anything like that. Also, feel free to share. I'd love for you guys to share the podcast out there, let other people know, where you heard us, everything like that, and help us grow, because that would be awesome there. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. But until I talk to you guys again tomorrow, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin, burdened by the heart of man. Down to the river